coming in. I'm really happy to have you both here. Can you introduce yourselves, give us a little bit of background about you before we start talking about Del Mar?
So my name is Jessica Sheffield Zamora, and I'm a Costa Rican who has lived in Nosara for 13 years.
I'm Haley McMillan Ord, and we have been here now for 16 years. And I'm Canadian. I was born in England, and actually the place we lived the longest was the Cayman Islands.
Today we're talking about Del Mar Academy, and I'll start off this whole episode by saying thank you. Honestly, do not think we'd have the families here in the same vibe that we currently do if you guys hadn't have done what you've done. But let's get right into it, because I know it wasn't always easy.
We have about 230 students this year.
Yes, from many nationalities. We just had 8 new local students entering into our scholarship program for our middle school.
You also have a huge announcement.
Well, we just turned into a non-profit foundation. This will help us do much more than we've been doing.
Congratulations. I imagine
Thank
that
you.
wasn't fun to set up.
No, that was tough. It was tough.
Yes.
We've had a lot of tough years over the past.
Nosara wasn't like this, 11 years ago when we started. We can't forget how it started and how different it was, even when we were opening our doors, right? I mean, Nosara has grown so much, but it was even more limited, the access we had to everything.
So
during
why
that
did
time.
you start the school?
If you want something done, then people have to do it. And so that's what we decided to do.
That's a really honest statement. You're just like, somebody had to do it.
And most of these speech communities are growing. What is special about Nosara is that it's growing with families.
Yeah.
And this really takes away a lot of the problems that other communities are having, where there's more prostitution and drugs and more like a party crowd.
You guys really did help cause exactly what you just stated. I truly believe that. And I think anyone really doubting with the community would recognize it. Now, let me ask you this. How hard was it to start this school?
Oh.
More than we ever thought it would.
Hands down, probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow. You've
I gave birth 3 times. With no drugs.
Haley's the one that really brought that idea that it has to be Montessori. And I mean, what an amazing philosophy and program it is. But it's expensive. And it's hard to get the teachers, and it's got to have materials. Especially when you're starting a school from scratch.
There's 5 founders. None of us are educators. I think if we had been educators, we'd have been, oh God, no way. I am not doing that.
But if you flip it, also gave us an advantage because there were so many perspectives from the get-go. And I think that has been key to our success.
It's not like we have a deep labor pool here, and it's not like Nosara is super cheap to live at. So you have, on a very limited budget, how are you going to hire the highest level educator that you possibly can, who can even make it in this strange little dusty town?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not the easiest equation to put together.
We have a new head of school, Dr. Gabriel, this year, and he's reached out there in the world, and he's found some really great teachers.
We are also training local. We have local teachers who are assistants, and they're growing in their role. We send them to 2 of our teachers went to Mexico to get Montessori trained, and we're supporting them to finish their college degrees. And this we want them to be our long-term.
That's awesome. So the wheels are turning. That's truly how you change communities.
Exactly.
Like that's really something. So let me ask you this: what would you say were some of your biggest challenges?
Oh, there's so many. I think one of the biggest challenges that people are not aware of is the cost of running a school in a rural area in Costa Rica.
Hands down, budget has been our biggest challenge, and it continues to be our biggest challenge.
Now, on the flip side, though, I would contend that's also your biggest objection. Is when I first came here and we first put our kids in Del Mar when we rolled into town, heard the price tag, which was less than it is now, and I almost passed out because we were friends, we were all talking, and I was able to learn, oh, well, there's a lot going into this. It's not just an expensive school where people are getting rich off this. It's actually really expensive. And I'll take it a step further for you. Running a business legitimately and legally is not cheap here for anyone.
No.
Not in any sense, yeah. From day one, we've invested every single penny in that school. Our own children go there.
Would you say your hardest years were at the beginning or in the middle or recently?
First 5 years. Each year, there's always a challenge.
Year.
I mean, come on, it's human nature. You're always going to have complainers. One likes the no homework policy. The other one wants more homework policy. You can't please everybody, right? We've learned how to take a punch.
We learned how to take a punch, and we love constructive criticism.
Yeah.
This is a school that we have to build together, but it's hard when it's behind the back, and then how do you fix it? Mm-hmm. If you have a problem, come talk it. Yeah. How do we fix it? And how do we fix it? Bring solutions to the table. We're all really here.
Some people are going to be scared to go tell you, hey, I got beef with this. Now, some people will, but a lot of people will just think it behind your back. It grows into resentment, and then maybe this is the right school for me or something like that. So I think it's good for people to hear, whoever's listening to this, to hear that you guys are saying we have an open door policy. If you have a question, please come tell us. 100%. We want to hear.
For the first 10 years, we were a new business, right? Which has its challenges. Now that we become a foundation, we're now a new foundation. We have more learning to do now as a foundation because that's a different ballgame.
It took almost 2 years with expert lawyers to know about non-for-profits. It wasn't that easy.
What are the major positives? I know you guys are really fired up, and I'd love for people to hear why this means such a great deal, not just to Del Mar, but also to the other schools in the area itself. Can you kind of explain that to us?
We've worked with local schools before, but I think our outreach is going to be so much bigger. And to give you an example, we're just a non-for-profit foundation, and we were able to get a grant. And this grant allowed us to hire the person who is now the coordinator for Gardens of Nature for Nosara. And this has allowed us to now have a plan for this whole year to work with the 7 schools in the area. And we're going to help them with all the environmental education, but we're also helping them, and we're matching the hotels. We're inviting the hotels in the area to adopt a Blue Flag school. That's how we call the program. Nice. And we're really going to help them with all of their recycling and composting. The foundation, the Del Mar Foundation, is going to donate all the composting barrels, and we're making all the manuals and training the teachers. And now the hotels are going to come in, and they're just going to support this process throughout the whole year. And this really is going to help Nosara Recicla, because this is one of our biggest issues.
It's the kids who are teaching the parents about recycling. It's the kids who are teaching. I'm talking about the Tico populace in particular. Yeah. They're teaching the adults, hey, that's what that color container means, and that's what that means.
We've never wanted to be an island. I think that's important. Yeah. We've never wanted to be this great institution, and who cares what happens around. It's never been that way. However, you have to work so hard to get to a point where you can help others. Now we can really help the local schools. We know how to do it. We have a plan, and we have the funding to be able to do it. So far they have 16 scholarship recipients in our school. With this, we can now reach out beyond the borders of Costa Rica into the U.S. and ask for grants to help with scholarships for local children. We can start helping the scholarship bring more and more of the local Nosaranians into the school, which has always been our long-term vision. We have a lot of Costa Rican children in the school that are either privately sponsored, sponsored through the scholarship program, or sponsored by Del Mar itself.
But what you're saying is now, because you're a foundation, someone listening to this from the States could make a donation, get 501c3 credit, and that's tax deductible, and it can go straight in, no problem, no questions.
Take it to another level and get companies to donate to the scholarship. Get their tax deduction. We get more kids into the school. And at the end of the day, it benefits this community, because now we're going to have local Nosaranians graduating with an IB diploma.
Education changes people. And this is an opportunity that the families are so grateful for. They have that extra drive of, I want to make it. We try to make it like the standards that we have apply internationally. So kids going back to the U.S. do very well.
That was pretty much the driving force why we chose the International Baccalaureate program. Because we have such an international-based student body, we needed an education in those last years that will allow them to go to the U.S. or Canada or Europe or Israel or wherever they're coming from. Right.
What would you say to someone who's considering Del Mar, or right now beginning maybe let's move to Costa Rica for a little bit? Like, what would be your direct message to them?
One of the things that I tell parents, which is I believe so wholeheartedly, is when you raise children here in Nosara, they stay younger longer.
That's interesting. It's just a little bit more dynamic experience being in the jungle and being a little bit more into nature. If I can interject, my kind of life goal and one of the big inspirations for this podcast was I'm trying to get, I don't know if community center is the right word, but what I want to do is kind of tap into the people who are in Nosara, even if they're just passing through. Like, for example, a lot of Bram's clients or my clients our Inky's clients are incredibly dynamic people who have a skill set that's pretty outstanding in their field, right? Well, here in Nosara, for whatever reason, these families are coming in. I'd love to get a location where somebody can come in. I kind of want to create like a TED Talk thing for here.
Yes,
is what I'm getting at. I'm trying to get enough money or get investors to help us take down the old banana property or part of it at least. And what I'd love to do is open it into, hey, so-and-so from somewhere is here. He's really good at this. And they just sit down and say, hey. Yeah. And we can ask them questions. And then I'd love to do that.
I mean, we've had families that represent almost 20 nationalities. It's unbelievable, you know, the multicultural that we lived here in Nosara. And I think that's something that we should, you know, use to the benefit of the community, no doubt.
What's the most common objection or complaint that you get on a weekly or monthly basis?
I'll tell you a funny one, not a common one. We were once asked that we needed to put a snake fence all over Del Mar property.
Are you kidding?
Nope. We still have the piece of paper where it was written on. Me and Jesse keep threatening that we're going to write a book.
Tell them what you think the title of the book should be. I mean,
I don't know if I can say that online.
Go ahead.
You might have to beat this up. But our book is going to be, You Can't Make This Shit Up.
I think that would sell. Why y'all open a school? That's hard to make money with. This book's a brilliant idea. What kept you going during those hard years? Like, what let you stay in this project at the challenging times?
You know, the support that we received from families.
I almost see like social media and some of our gossipy pages is the same way. Like if I go in there and type something really negative, the whole world will pay attention to that. And if you go in there and say, hey, Haley was nice to me, I really appreciated that. No one cares.
Yes.
Kind of in the...
So a lot of the days where you guys were like dealing with all the complaints and the problems and the challenges, for every complaint, problem, challenge, if you could just get 1 out of 10, a pat on the back.
Also, the how can I help?
We do have some great volunteers as well.
Oh.
I mean, we need to recognize them. I mean, we have...
And the committees.
We have committees there, and we have parents that come year after year after year, and they're volunteering.
And it's amazing to have these people voluntarily helping the school. And a school is not made just by the teachers and the board members. I think what takes us to the next level and enriches the experience for every child in there is parent involvement. I mean, that has helped us do things we could never do.
My next question, where do you want to be in 2 or 3 years? Like, what's next?
I want ICE in Costa Rica to start turning to a little school and say, what's going on in that little school?
I think that Del Mar Academy in Nosara can be a school that is known in the world. Our kids know, they live, breathe, and eat environmentalism at our school.
You've also, what I'm getting out of it is that you both feel super empowered by your staff and the families and by the quality and level of people that are on the inside of your organization now.
Yes.
Hopefully the dots keep connecting and growing bigger and bigger. And again, a very heartfelt thank you from me and the entire community to you guys and the founders and what you did. You took it on the chin, and we're all a better place as a result.